I gotta tell somebody.
This is the best thing I've ever seen.
Let's talk about that.
You need this. Listen to this.
Memorable and exciting.
Well, then be less boring.
I'm going to tell everyone. Wait here.
Mighty remarkable, Big Daddy. Remarkable?
Welcome to Remarkable, a podcast for B2B marketers that deconstructs the most iconic moments in film, television, pop culture, and advertising for a single purpose: to give you, the B2B marketer, the same storytelling techniques that the pros use. In each episode, you will learn techniques from Hollywood, Pixar, Marvel, and beyond, from Spielberg's hands to yours, bringing remarkable content ideas to you every single week. I'm Ian Faison, CEO of Caspian Studios. This is Remarkable. And this week, we're talking about B2B marketing lessons from Portland Leather Goods with the help of our good guest, Head of Marketing and Content Production at Boomi.
I like bags. 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 Oh my God, bags. My favorite bag.
Danalynne, how are you?
I am good. How are you doing today, Ian?
Excited to chat with you today about marketing, about Boomi, about Portland Leather Goods. This is going to be a fun one. I did not know about Portland Leather Goods, and we're all going to learn how amazing their marketing and community is today. But first, why the heck did you pick Portland Leather Goods to talk about today?
Well, I think that Portland Leather Goods is a company that is absolutely genius at marketing. It is a retail company. They are selling to consumers and they are selling, wait for it, leather goods, hence Portland Leather Goods. Those leather goods really are comprised primarily of handbags and purses and small leather goods. They also have some bags for men. They also sell some shoes. They're trying to diversify into other things, but really the core business is leather bags. And they're great at it because their bags are good quality. They are more affordable than many other good quality or comparable quality bags. And they loop you into things and make you feel like, well, if you don't buy these bags, you are going to miss out. And it's interesting for me because I don't consider myself somebody who is easily influenced by marketing, but on this, influenced me. It was very clear. I first came across Portland Leather Goods, or PLG as it is known, in November of 2022. And yep, it was a Facebook ad. I will admit it. I normally don't click on Facebook ads because I do not trust many of the things that they are serving up to me. But I did a little quick Google search to make sure, is this company legit? And they said yes. And it was an ad for a mystery box. And a mystery box had 3 bags in it and an assortment of small little leather good things as well. And I thought, it's November. This is going to be perfect. I need Christmas presents for my mother, for my mother-in-law. And, well, there are 3 bags. So, if there just happens to be one in there that I like, Merry Christmas to me. And I was hooked. It was part of it was the mystery. You don't know what colors you're going to get. You don't know what enclosures you're going to get or types of closures you're going to get. You don't know what the little things are going to be. And a lot of them are things that are not available for sale through their website. This all leads back to the why I picked Portland Leather Goods, because they keep on doing all these little marketing things that if it was just one of them, you probably wouldn't notice. It wouldn't be a big deal. But cumulatively, their marketing really gets people hooked.
And taking a step back, tell us a little bit about Boomi and your role as Head of Marketing Content Production.
Sure. Well, Boomi is the leading integration and automation platform provider. We have what we call an intelligent integration and automation platform that is effectively designed to connect everything. So it's a very B2B marketing play. So we're selling into other companies that need to integrate everything on the back end and need to do it seamlessly, need to make sure that they have data governance, maybe need to also do exchanges with trading partners, maybe need to have API connections. There's a whole host of things that we help them do. But when it comes down to it, it's all about connectivity and automation. My role at Boomi is basically I am responsible for our external facing marketing content production, which is kind of a mouthful. But the way I look at it is it's about the equivalent of somewhere between a managing editor and an editor-in-chief type of role. It involves taking all the inputs from everybody within the company who is interested in having content produced, as well as coming up with some ideas, strategic ideas for what content we should have. And then I manage our team of writers, both internally and freelancer contractors, to make sure that all of those things get produced. So writing and editing and traffic management and working with stakeholders across the company. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but it's great. And I thrive on making content better.
Meredith, what the heck is Portland Leather Goods?
So glad you asked. So I'm bringing you back to 2015, where Curtis Matsko, he's in his garage in Oregon, staring at this piece of leather with an X-Acto knife in hand, and he had a plan to make his girlfriend a leather journal as a gift. And I kind of imagine that as like he's trying to cheer her up. She was at the time working at this waitressing job that she really didn't like and was super unhappy. And so while he's working on this, he's like, what if she quit her job and we started doing this together?
Quit your job. We will start up a company together and we'll grow this. And she said, what are we going to sell? And I said, leather journals.
And Curtis kind of describes himself as like incredibly energetic, unfailingly optimistic. But he also admits that like he's kind of someone who doesn't always follow through with ideas. Like he'll be like the bright, shiny, like, oh my God, I have this great idea. So he brings this idea to her and she obviously is like, I don't know about that. And so he actually talks her into it. And so they started this tiny business. They started going to art festivals, making these leather journals. And so the idea was to make these minimalist designs with high quality leather. And they started just going crazy at these art festivals, selling out.
We had some where we were doing $30,000 and $40,000 in a kit.
So they started to sort of expand from there and started an Etsy store, and they became a bestseller on Etsy.
And we became a top 10 all-time seller on Etsy within 1 year.
They started really focusing more on like bags, like Danalynne, you mentioned. And now their practices also happen to be eco-friendly and their bags are affordably priced. Like I was looking at their website, a leather tote bag is $132, whereas like you go on almost like any other brand like Coach and they'll be much more expensive.
I lowered the prices down so that no one would have an excuse not to buy it.
A circle crossbody is $88. A wallet is $24, which I think is like still high enough to feel special, but low enough to be like, I can actually afford to do this. And it still feels like your money is going to a good place, right? So there's just an alignment too with like people who want to buy from, you know, an eco-friendly practicing business. But the other thing they have going is like the style is very classic. The logo and the hardware are both low profile. And so as they grew, right, they had their Etsy store that was doing great. And they're like, what's the next step? They started a production studio in Mexico, which was close to the tanneries that they work with, which gave them access to high quality hides, allowed them to reduce lead times and reduce that environmental footprint related to like shipping and transportation of the leather. And they also are partnering with these award-winning eco-friendly tanneries. So there's a lot of thought that goes into us, a lot of relationship building and things like that too, which one of the things that Curtis said was he works with people who are smarter than him and better than him in all ways.
You surround yourself with amazing people. You continue to get better every day. You know that it's going to get better in a week or a month. You don't get fearful of the entire world. You move forward and things just work out.
So I think that was something that we've heard on Remarkable before, like work with people who are better than you because they'll lift you up. They source hides from the US beef industry. So otherwise those would be considered a byproduct and end up in a landfill. But because of that, these imperfections, which Danalynne, I know you had brought up before, the imperfections, like the marks on the hides, those are signs that like the cow was a living being and actually makes the piece unique. So they see those sort of imperfections as a good thing.
And maybe right here, there's a little natural wrinkling from the cow.
Looking at Curtis's background, he actually had a background in digital marketing. But one thing he said that was interesting was that their success is truly rooted in making this high quality product. So in other words, he's like basically like the marketing doesn't matter if your product is poor quality. People might buy it once, even return it, but they won't return or be a repeat customer. And a quote from him that I thought was really interesting was, he said, "The internet, much like television newspapers or the carnival barker of old, is merely a medium to briefly capture a flicker of someone's attention, spark an interest in how your product can make their life better, grow a connection based on understanding and trust, and ultimately deliver them a product that fills them with happiness, enough to share with a friend and come back for more. In our case, it's about love. Yes, we're investing over $20 million in online advertising this year." That was in 2023. "But the real truth is that more people will hear about us through word of mouth, friends and family, rather than from Google. And that isn't an accident. It's a result of my marketing background, but anchored in the understanding that creating a quality product that people love has an enduring impact." So I was like, that's really interesting. Where he's like, yes, I have this great marketing background. I'm supporting our product, but it's all about making this amazing product. And now they have over 120 million in sales as of 2023. They're the largest leather bag maker in North America, which is huge.
That's crazy.
It's wild. And the other thing to sort of cap it all off was that he says, everybody wants there to be a secret, as in like a secret to this kind of like hypergrowth. And he said, so here it is. It is kindness, connection, magic, patience, and smiles. So when Curtis and his girlfriend used to go to art festivals, they would talk and connect with customers.
I would actually take and put 2 or 3 chairs in my booth and open it up. And when people would come in, I would say, have a seat. And they would sit down and we would just fill up our booth. And I would just talk to people.
They might knock off $10 when it felt right, when they had really connected with somebody.
People would come in. And the people who I connected with were the young people who wanted a leather journal, like they're college students. And they would stare at it and they're like, oh, this is amazing. And then they would set it down and they would walk out because they didn't have the money for it. And that broke my heart.
And that ended up growing into just like this crazy, successful business.
They're like, you set records. No one has ever had a line of 60 people long trying to buy their products.
And he says now it's like, of course, it's not face-to-face anymore, but he said like they're communicating with people with kindness, with thoughtfulness, and his partner responds to like any emails like they're talking face-to-face. So a lot of it is just like being human with people and connecting with them on a human level and just being kind to people. And that sort of like exploded into this now huge community and really successful business. So all of that was really interesting. But I was curious too, because it's like, you know, you're shopping online, and Danalynne, I know that you've, you know, have some of their bags. So I was curious, like when you get it, because sometimes you order something online, it comes to you in the mail, you're all excited about it. It might have been affordable, but it shows up and you're like, oh, like maybe the quality isn't exactly what I wanted. But I feel like if it shows up and it's really what they promised it's going to be, that it feels so much better. It feels so much more special. So Danalynne, wondering what your experience was like opening up your first package from them.
Yeah, absolutely. I did not know what to expect because, again, my first package was this mystery box. I had no idea. I mean, I knew it was going to be tote bags, but I didn't know what they were going to look like, what colors they were going to be. And so that first purchase was probably the most exciting because it was like, ooh, I have no idea. And the more I unwrapped, I was like, oh, that's so pretty. Oh, this is so pretty. Oh, I don't even know what this thing is, but it's really neat for all the little goods. And so it was just a measure of excitement. One thing that I think that Portland Leather Goods does really well is they tell people straight up, if you buy a mystery box, what you get in it may be premium quality. It may be almost premium, almost perfect, which is their AP line, which is, you know, slightly discounted over the premium. And they say, well, you know, it's almost perfect because it could be a variety of things. There could be a flaw. There could be more of a blemish. You know, it could just be not 100% perfect. Most of the time, I have found that I cannot distinguish an almost perfect from a premium. They are almost identical. But that is part of that genius marketing that we were talking about convincing people that, okay, you may look at this bag and you see this scratch mark on it and you're thinking, well, oh, this is not my perfect bag that I ordered. What is this scratch? What is this other scratch?
Well, there's maybe a little scratch up here.
Well, those are barbed wire marks on the hide of the cow because your cow lived an interesting life. And so therefore, what may be perceived as a negative, they flip around and get you to look at it as a positive. Now, obviously, not everybody is going to agree with that. If you get a bag that has some visible marks or blemishes where you are looking for the smooth, perfect, whatever, you're probably not going to be happy. In which case, you probably want to send that bad bag back and get a different one. But I am amazed by the number of people in these Facebook groups who are new to the groups, post a picture and say, hey, does this look like premium quality? I am new. I don't really know. Or even, does this look like almost perfect quality? And the number of people who are on that post, yes, you had a happy cow. Yes, that is a bug bite, thing. Yes, that stamp on the inside, that's a hide mark, and that shows where they sourced the hide. That is something special, and you should covet it. So it's a really interesting script flipping. For me, I am not a perfectionist with things like that because I use my bags. Even if something comes and it's got a little scratch on it, whatever, as I use it, there's going to get scratched anyway. So I don't care about the perfection. I just care about does it look nice? Does it work for my needs? And because sometimes you can get things where the tanning process, maybe it should have been left a little bit longer. Does it smell nice? Those are the basics. So for me, I was thrilled when I was opening everything. And that's what made me think, oh, well, maybe I need to buy another bag from these people because I really liked these ones. And I will tell you, the first bag that I bought off of their website after that I knew what I was going to be getting, I was absolutely thrilled with it. It came out of the box. I was like, this is even nicer than I thought it was going to be. So again, that just encourages more business.
So I'm curious, digging into some of the marketing things that they're doing, what was it about them and that sort of initial moment that made you really dive in? Was it just the look of the bag? Is that the primary piece there? Is just you like how it looked?
I liked how it looked. I loved how it smelled. It smells like really marvelous leather. And I liked that there was variety because, as I said, I ordered this mystery box that had 3 bags in it. And each one was different. They were 3 different colors.
I got the butterfly bag in the color jade, which is, like I said, highly sought after. This is a unicorn color. You cannot go to their website and buy this color.
One of them had a zipper. 2 of them didn't. They had different color handles, all the little things that came with them. There was a little journal and different little pouches and bags for things that, I thought, oh, this stuff is really, really neat. And they definitely play into anybody who has, I'm not going to say I'm a gambler, but I definitely have a little bit of that, I'll take a little bit of a risk. So with something like the mystery box, you are taking the risk because you don't know exactly what you're going to get, but you have the chance to get something that you can't get anywhere else, that you can't buy on the website, that is only available through a very small number of these boxes. And that to me, I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. And from there, I just started looking at, well, what else do they have? I really liked this. I might try ordering again. And then it was, well, they've got some other cool stuff on the website. And they send you a discount coupon. And they have sales on the website where you're like, oh, I need to buy now. So
when was the sort of moment that you feel like you became a brand ambassador, for lack of a better term?
It was maybe about 6 months in, because I have always been the type of person who, I like to swap out bags on occasion. They're an accessory, but I generally had one bag that I would carry every day. And I tend to be, don't know the best way to put this, but I like to have a lot of stuff. So my bags were always full of things. And so swapping from one to another would be a challenge. And so I was a little bit skeptical. I was like, well, this is a tote bag. That's good because, I might want to carry things through totes, but they also have crossbody handbags. And like, okay, well, they sell these mystery boxes of these. Maybe I will try buying something like that. And I thought about it and I was like, I'm not really ready to spend that money at this point in time. I'll look at their website. And they happen to have a bag on their website that I thought was beautiful. So I said, okay, well, I'll just buy this bag and see what I think. And I got the bag and it was beautiful and I loved it. And I started carrying it. And then I kept getting ads from them. And they said, oh, join our insiders group on Facebook. You'll have access to special sales and codes and a community. Like, all right, I will join. And I just kind of lurked. So that for me was the slippery slope of, well, now I need to try different styles. And then you find a style that you like. And then you think, I need to try different colors. And then you realize that in those different colors that you've seen people posting in the Facebook groups, most of them are the special, what they call them, unicorn bags that are not available for sale on the website. The only way you can get them is either if you get lucky in a mystery box or if you go to their stores in Portland, which unfortunately, Oregon, I mean, it's close enough to California, but not that close. So like, all right, well, I love this color. Maybe I will try getting another mystery box in the happy, lucky event that maybe I'll get that color. And you learn things like, okay, well, yeah, so it's a 25% off sale. And that gives you that false sense of urgency because there's always a 25% sale, which is, that kind of little borderline marketing scheme there. But it works. Everyone always wants to feel like they're saving money. And again, their bags are very affordable comparatively to other leather, full grain leather purchases.
Right. It's like the consumer never knows. Like there could be a product where like one of these bags where they sell, 100 full price ones all year. And then they sell 10,000 when they're during discounts. You know what I mean? You would never know that as a consumer.
And if you're just looking at the website periodically, you think, oh, I lucked out and I got this special 25% off sale I need to buy before it ends. And it's not until you sort of see a little bit behind the scenes that you realize, well, that code will end, but another one will immediately take its place. And now you really want to hold out for the time that they do a 30% sale because then you're getting the extra 5% off. Or the rare occasion that they do a sale on their almost perfect line, because that's very rare. Or if they have a special C grade sale where they're getting rid of some of the inventory that is slightly less than almost perfect. But in those sales, you might also get lucky and get a fabulous colored bag that has nothing visible wrong with it. You don't know.
Everything that they have in stock for it sells out in about 10 or 15 minutes of the sale going live.
It's all about them getting you to spend your money willingly and happily.
Everyone in marketing wants to have a community, but nobody wants to like actually do the work to like, build it and then like manage it, right? But you said that this Facebook community is not just all coupons and codes. Like it's how big is this thing and how are people talking to each other on this thing?
I think there are now about 112,000 people in this Facebook group, and it has grown tremendously even since the time that I first joined it. Like, I think it was below 80,000, and then it was, we're hitting our 100,000, where it's just rapid growth. And I think part of that is because they have an amazing social media team. So they have employees who are on there who are engaging with people and posting things and kind of teasing out, we're going to have some special new release. We're not going to tell you exactly what it is, but we'll give you some hints and new colors are coming. And again, it's the engagement, and they encourage members to engage with each other. Also, there are multiple, what I would call spin-off groups. So apparently back in the day, before they had their own insider Facebook group, they had a groupies page that was run and maintained by people in the community who were just big fans of the brand. And then they had some of those same social media people who helped on that page. And then they spun off their own page. Then there are various other groups that are all for buy, sell, trade. So say you got a fabulous unicorn, but you look at it and you think this is a stoplight color bag and I don't want that bright yellow. Somebody else, like me, is looking at it going like, I really wish I got that beautiful yellow bag. And so this is all just members connecting with each other and saying, oh, I would like to trade, or I would like to buy this from you. And it's really kind of, I think I'm in 4 different PLG groups now. So again, it spirals. And I don't spend that much time on Facebook either, but
if you're going to do it, right, like you may as well be in 4, right? If there's different people posting, about different stuff, like you want to try to find the bag that you want, right? Like it doesn't matter if it's in one group or another, like you may as well join all 4. It costs you nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's easy and it spawns other things. It's sad for those of us who are spending the money, but it's great for small businesses because there have been a number of small businesses that I have seen start up based on these groups, because it's people who get a little bit maybe disillusioned or disenchanted. And they're like, I still really like their bags, but they don't have the color I want. They don't have a style that's exactly what I want. So maybe I'm going to start making my own bags. And then they start posting and people are like, oh, those bags are really nice. I would like to buy one. Or Flair. There are, people who make gorgeous leather bows or chains or, flowers or things like that then people put on their bags. So it's really spawned an entire thriving sub-community of small businesses, which I think is marvelous because it's so nice to have that built-in community of people who are going to have some overlap in taste.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, let's get into our marketing lessons here. What are your marketing lessons to take away from Portland Leather Goods?
Well, number one, I feel like the digital marketing is something that's gotten more and more sophisticated, but if you are going to do it, be smart about it and draw upon a community. Try and build a community, because if you can get other people to really love your product and talk about it, evangelize it, then you are going to get many more customers or even just potential interest. Then another lesson from PLG is really the whole exclusivity, fear of missing out can go a long way if people feel like they're only going to have a deal for a limited time, or even that you're doing something specially for them. And hopefully you really are. But to me, that translates into programs like loyalty programs or customers where, you're a loyal customer, so we're going to give you a discount, or we're going to give you maybe a free pass for an event, or, just trying to do that extrapolation to B2B marketing elements that people can use. We'll invite you to a special community that is only for our top users. We'll give you an incentive, like maybe there's some kind of points-based thing. There's so many different things that can be done there.
I think what's really tough there is, so if you're building a software company or running content or brand or marketing for a software company, building a community, I don't think is the hardest thing in the world. I think it's like you pretty clearly could do it. You could own that, right, as your function. The second piece there is a little harder to do because you can't discount the product. In a lot of cases, that might be set in stone from above, that we don't discount, or perhaps there's a way that they discount or whatever. And you really get away from a value-based conversation when you discount software anyways. Obviously, there's ways to do it, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the loyalty thing is really interesting because that's where what we traditionally see is the polar opposite, which is price is going up. Jason Lemkin posted the other day on LinkedIn about how they were one of the biggest customers of some company, and they doubled the price. It was a brand new CRO, doubled the price. And Jason was like, all right, well, then we're going to leave, and started negotiating other stuff. So to do the opposite of that, to add in a loyalty program, and maybe it's a discount, or maybe it's just something else, or maybe it's tickets to a Warriors game, or whatever it is, just something to show that you care, I think is so important. And there is something that marketing could do to show that you care, right? You might not be able to discount any prices, probably not, especially in this economy, but there is something that you could do. And I think that is what matters.
Well, I think it's acknowledging that behind every brand, there are people. So even in a B2B marketing outreach or B2B sell, you're still selling to a person, and you want to build those relationships. That's what any good salesperson does, or any community manager or customer advocacy manager, or anybody who has those relationship as part of their job, because people want to buy from people. So if you personalize it, that's the best way to market. And the best way to do it is, obviously you should be hiring the people who want to build those relationships, because work is so much more fun when you genuinely enjoy the people that you're working with, you enjoy the customers you're trying to reach, you enjoy the prospects. That's kind of 101. I don't understand why people sometimes fail to see that, and they just look at it as like, that's some business on the other side of a wall, and they don't care that I've raised the price. That's fine. They'll just pay for it. No.
So switching gears to Boomi, tell us a little bit how you think about marketing. How do you think about strategy and production for Boomi?
Well, as part of my role, I am the keeper of the brand language. And of course, the brand language is closely tied to the overall brand, which is tied to how do we want to present ourselves, and who is our target audience, and how do we want to engage with them? How do we want to reach out with them? What content do we want to give them that's going to help them? And to me, that also does come back to the humanization of things, and the personalization is you don't want to be serving up just dry, boring content that doesn't appeal to anybody and is just full of big words. Sometimes big words make sense. I personally, I'm an English major. I love the big words, but that's for a select audience. If you're trying to draw people in who know nothing about what you do or your industry or your product, or more importantly, the problems that you can help them solve, you need to lay that out in language that they're going to understand, in the format that they want to consume it in, and on the channel that they want to receive it in.
How do you think about the ROI of content?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about traditional content marketing, and even just saying traditional content marketing sounds weird because it hasn't been around for that long. But with that, that's definitely focused on metrics. So, it's very data driven. How are pieces performing? How can you optimize that? I tend to take a step backwards. I'm not a marketing ops person. I am a content creator. So I care about the strategy and the big picture. So who are you trying to reach? And what is the message you are trying to get across? And sort of when are you trying to reach them? Are you trying to go after a prospect who doesn't know anything about what Boomi is, anything about what integration is, or even maybe connectivity, automation? Like, to them, that's just, it's a word. What does that mean? Mm-hmm. Or are you trying to go after someone who's already using the platform and say, hey, you might not have known it, but we also do this, and it's all available in the same platform. So it's really easy for you to get started using it. Or did you know that we can help this other group within your organization achieve these great results? Things like that. So knowing what the message is, and just being able to take that content, create the content, and get it in front of those people, you're then measuring on basically how they're reacting to it. So there's some metrics that do tie back to how many click-throughs did you get on this? How many people downloaded? How much time did they spend on your page? But it also comes down that what is their response for there's so many different channels. There's the social channels where you can have more engagement, or a community where you can have more engagement. Then there's purely the things that you're pushing out. Then it's, well, how much promotion is something getting? Are you promoting it via social channels? Are you promoting it via email? How much engagement is there? And all of those things are going to influence your final data to figure out how successful you're going to be. Everybody, of course, dreams of like the viral marketing where you put a piece of content out there and somebody picks it up and all of a sudden everybody is coming to your page. But realistically, that doesn't happen very often. So for me, the ROI is really about, are people looking at it? What kind of feedback are we getting? Are we getting any inquiries in because of that piece? If we have a call to action on something, are the people taking that call to action? And for me, it's also how my internal stakeholders feel, or external stakeholders in some case. If we write a case study, how happy is the customer with that? If the customer's super happy with it, then, right there, that's a win.
Do you have any favorite pieces of content or campaigns that you've done over the years?
Oh, I have lots of them, so many to talk about. But I think that one of the most recent ones, and I touched on this a little bit during our last conversation, is a profile blog series that was the brainchild of one of our writers, who also happens to be a former journalist and Pulitzer Prize nominee. So, he's earned his chops. And our customer advocacy lead director, who is also fantastic. And the two of them put their heads together and came up with this idea of doing customer profile blogs. And the idea of this is to shine a spotlight on the person, the individual behind the product, so behind the sale. It all goes back to that kind of humanization and personalization. So we had done Q&A blogs before. We used to do something called Boomi Community Champions, where we would work with the people within our community who were engaging the most often with the community and kind of spotlight them. This takes that concept one step further. We started with customers, and then we moved on to include employees. We moved on to include partners. We've even done this on like an analyst, on an author, anybody who touches the Boomi community in some way, shape, or form. And it's called 5 Minutes With. They are thought leader profiles. And we talk to them about who they are, what makes them tick, as well as how they're using Boomi to make the world a better place, basically. And we found that they get great engagement because, again, people want to know, who are you? And whoever we've written the piece on also wants to share that more because it's about them. Who doesn't like seeing something that's written about you, as long as it's positive? And of course, all these things are, because they're really cool people and they're so interesting to hear their stories. And I'm really proud of that because even though I cannot claim credit for the idea or for the execution, I'm very much behind the scenes on those. I do the editing, I get them published, I make sure the process is going smoothly, but it's still something that I'm really proud of as something that Boomi is doing that I haven't seen a lot of other tech companies do.
I love that. Love it so much. More people that you can profile on your site, the better. More faces that are on the website that aren't yours, the better.
Yeah, exactly. And we've created a landing page that brings all of these stories together. So if people are interested in one, then they can read because they're maybe interested in other people. And, I could spend all day just reading these things because I find people fascinating. And I'm always interested to know kind of what makes people tick and how did you become a Boomi customer? Why are you a Boomi customer? And how are you using it to do really cool things? Which then, of course, leads us to case studies. So in a lot of cases, we might have a companion case study or that we might be able to create at the same time that talks about, okay, you've heard the story of, Sheila, who is the lead integration developer. Well, here is the project that Sheila worked on for her company that made the company $1 billion and saved them all sorts of time. And it's just great.
Danalynne, it's been wonderful having you on the show. Any final thoughts? Anything to plug?
I don't think I have anything to plug per se, but I will say that, I think it all comes back to remembering the humans behind whatever you're working on and crafting your message to reach out to them, knowing who your audience is, and telling stories. That's what content is really all about. It's telling people stories, telling product stories, and just trying to connect things.
I love it. Great advice. Thanks again for joining. We'll talk soon.
Thank you so much.
Well, that's it for today. I hope you got some good ideas for your B2B content. Thank you for listening to Remarkable. I'm Ian Faison, CEO of Caspian Studios. Remarkable is created by the team at Caspian Studios, B2B podcast as a service. Caspian also creates fiction series for B2B companies, so if you want a business thriller, you can learn more at caspianstudios.com. Hollywood-style storytelling for B2B. And in today's episode, you heard from myself, Ian Faison, and Meredith O'Neill, senior producer here at Caspian Studios. Remarkable was produced this week by Meredith O'Neill, mixed by Scott Goodrich, and our theme song is Solomon by Falak. Be remarkable and rise above the noise.